Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to our show tonight. Tonight, my guest is Sirrena Buey, and the worst thing in the world has happened in her family, the thing that every mother dreads. Her son was murdered inside a facility in Georgia Department of Corrections. Please welcome Sirrena. Sirrena, how are you doing tonight? Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm doing okay. Um, I'm dealing with the death of my son. They twins, caught a case in 2009. One made it home in 2015. In 2017, my son, he got killed. Um, he called me August the 12th, and we talked on the phone, and he was like, Mom, I'm going to call you the next day. And we had a very, very good conversation. I never forget this. And the next following day, that morning, we got up getting ready for church, me and my husband, and I get a phone call about 10 minutes to 11. I didn't want her to answer the phone, but something say, answer. When I did, that's when I got the news of my son's death. Well, during that time when they was trying to, no one was trying to explain anything, or no one was trying to give me answers or say what happened to him. I mean, it was just a blunt phone call. Your son is dead. It's been a hard situation to deal with. We buried him on August the 25th of 2017. Didn't even know what happened to him. A correctional officer, or the person that was over my son during the time of his death, had his name on my son information as the next of kin. So therefore, it knocked me from getting information from the GBI. So I kept on doing and going and going and going, and finally he took his name off, and I was able to start getting information. So once I started getting information, I started reading, and I read his autopsy report. And his autopsy report stated that he died from a coronary artery, heart disease, hypertension, and obesity. Which he was.
Okay, just a minute here, Serena. The autopsy report, they told you that he had heart disease bad enough to where he died. How old was your son at this time?
He was 26.
And did he have any history of heart disease whatsoever that you knew of?
He didn't have any type of medical issues, and it was in in his information that they was unknown or any type of medical issues that he had. So he didn't have any.
So he was never taking any medication or anything to treat a heart condition?
No, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, please continue. I think that's very important that we know that the autopsy just simply said that he died from heart disease. Now, I have read this autopsy report, and I'll talk about this later. But so you're having trouble getting information from the prison. Tell us about that.
I've been trying to get in contact with the prison for a long time. I did get in contact with them one time, and I was explaining my son what happened and that I wanted something done. I wanted an investigation, and they was telling me that they was going to treat it like a 360. They was going to make it look like as if he had just died, but I hadn't heard anything. I even called the FBI. And talked to the FBI. They told me that they had took it to court, and the judge threw it out of court. And I asked him why no one contacted me. He told me that they did not have to contact me and tell me anything. So I want answers. I want to know what happened to my son, and I do know for a fact that my son was killed. Um, How can you die from a heart attack and obesity and hypertension, but you got trauma here and blunt force trauma there? So I know as a mother that my son was killed, and my son also made a statement to me that he was ready to leave Atlanta Federal Prison because the correctional officer was very low down, and he was trying to stay out their way to stay out of trouble. And I was telling him, just do what you got to do, because he was so ready to leave there. My son's supposed to be leaving that prison that following Monday. He never made it out of that prison, and I want answers. I want answers. I want to know, how is it that this can happen and no one say anything? You get not enough information that you need. On top of the way that they did it, they act like that the inmates are not human beings, and they are. And if we continue to let this go and let our loved ones just die in prison and we do nothing about it, this is the way it's going to be. I have heard of so many young men that have died since my son's death from unresponsible. And when they get to the emergency room, they pronounce them dead. From my understanding, that my son was on life support. How was he on a life support and I wasn't told about it? How were y'all able to pull the plug and no one said anything to me? I mean, if I was the mother the same day that they contacted me about his death, why they didn't contact me that my son was at the ER? No one told me anything. And I just feel like this just
It's getting to be quite a lot to handle. In all fairness, Serena, I did read that autopsy report, as you well know, and it's very clear to me, ladies and gentlemen, since he had no history of heart disease, it is indicated in the autopsy that he has bruises the size of a baton on the front of his body where the heart is located and the back of his body where the heart is located. Obviously, the inmates don't have batons, the guards do. It's very clear that this young man was beaten to death, and that once again, like so many other families in Georgia that have their loved ones incarcerated under Georgia Department of Corrections, many inmates are getting murdered, and the lies that are coming out are absolutely unbelievable. And this is exactly what has happened to Sirrena. Now, Sirrena, on a lighter note, we are going to do something about this. You are currently trying to organize a group of people, are you not?
yes, yes I am. Yes I am.
And the
Because
goal is eventually to have a class action lawsuit against Georgia Department of Corrections, because we believe that there are enough out there that have been lied to. I have been hearing the horror stories for quite some time now. Um, and in all fairness, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is helping Department of Corrections to cover some of these outrageous murders up. And so, Sirrena, you have a group now.
yes, I do. I have a group, and I'm not. We're not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I have no other choice but to keep going, because I deserve to know who did what they did to my son. He deserved justice. I wanted to also add to this. My son was on lockdown. So that right there speaks for itself. It wasn't another inmate. So it, the whole report, it speaks for itself. I'm not giving up. I'm going to continue to fight whatever way that I have to go, because eventually this is going to help other people in our situation. And we have to not go by what they say. And I could have easily not looked into it, but being a real mother, when you want to know something don't sound right. And his brother woke up the morning of his brother's death hurting the same way that the other twin, Kettrick, had the trauma to his body. The other twin woke up hurting that same morning. So it's it basically just everything just speaks for itself. I just want something done. I want to know why. I want to know how y'all let this happen. It needs to stop. We have loved ones. They deserve to live, and something have to be done about it.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are afraid to stand up and talk about these horrible killings that are happening. That is why we have decided to do a class action lawsuit. That way,
Mm-hmm.
everybody comes together in a group. Nobody stands alone. Now, there's an interesting side to this story. Kesrick is a twin, was a twin. And
Yes.
as you mentioned, his brother was incarcerated at the time, or was he at home? The twin brother.
Oh, he was at home during the time of his brother's death, and I guess
And he
he felt
woke
the
up.
death.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I have heard of that happening. And as I said, the autopsy report is very clear. And this is not, unfortunately, the only case that's happening. The stories that they're saying are ridiculous. And in Serena's case, they won't even give her an explanation of what happened. And you had some bad luck after that. You gave the case to an attorney, and what happened? He ended up doing something that caused you some problems.
He had the
As I
case.
recall, he hung on to it.
Yes, he got the case in January. A week before the limitation, he dropped the case and told me that he did not have enough information, but he had been working on this case since January. So it put me in a situation where I wasn't able to file on time because he would not file in court because he said he didn't have enough information, but I do have information stating that he basically said that they killed my son, but all of a sudden he just dropped the case. So I went to Georgia to try to file an appeal in Georgia, and I did. Well, I went 3 times, and the judge, I'm giving him all the information that I have, which we already know that the judge could get the information quicker than I can, and I think that he just wanted to see what I have. So I went down now, and they want more information. Well, I don't gave you all the information that I have, so I don't know what more do you want from me, but I do know that at the end that they killed my son. I know that they did that, and I know it was the correctional officer. I know that, and I
Hmm.
feel like something got to be done about this.
Yes,
Just
yes. We've heard of some fairly violent other cases. Yeah, they're getting away with some very brutal beatings in the Georgia Department of Corrections, and it seems that not, you've got the all kinds of lawyers that are siding with them, and I honestly,
mm-hmm.
it feels to me like what that one attorney did by hanging on to your case so long might have been done on purpose.
Yes,
And it just seems that nobody cares about inmates dying, and it's wrong because
yes.
uh, people go to prison to be rehabilitated. If they get a death sentence, there's a certain way it should be done, and it does not involve a correctional officer beating an inmate. So we need to get this stopped. Now, Sirrena, can you tell us the name of the group?
The name of our group is called the I
Mm,
can't even think right.
Isn't it? I know
The inmate.
I'm trying to think too.
I can't even
What
think.
murder was it? Murdered
I mean, I
inmates
went.
of Georgia. We decided.
Wait a minute. I think so.
Yes. Let me
Yes, murder inmates of Georgia. Mhm.
of Georgia. Yes, and
Mhm.
we are on Facebook. So if you are out there listening and you have an inmate that was incarcerated in Georgia and you believe that something um, happened that you would like to find out more about, or you would like to just check out the group, see what's happening, whatever your reasons are. I know that there are a lot of murders that are occurring. And as I said before, this lawsuit is a class action so that nobody has to stand alone. This is safer to protect everybody from retaliation because obviously these guards are dangerous people if they're killing inmates. We don't know
Yes.
what they're going to do. And if you'd like to drop into the group because you need support or you're having a hard time coping with the death, Sirrena and I welcome you for that reason as well. Sirrena, is there anything else that you would like our audience to know about the group or what has happened to your son?
Well, the group is one of the best things that could have happened. For a minute, I felt so alone in this situation, and the Lord started giving me favor with people, and things have gotten much better. I have the process is getting much better because of the favor that I've been getting. As far as my son's situation, I feel like this. As a mother, when we know that our kids are doing things, we don't want nothing to happen to them in the street. We don't. And the first thing that we say, I'd rather see my son locked up than see my son dead. Okay, that's a parent because we don't want to see our children in the street or get killed. But guess what? We got to go back and just say, Lord, we need you to protect our kids, whether they in the street or prison, because just because they go to prison, it's not mandatory and it's not true that they're going to make it home. And that's something that all young people need to think about. When you go to prison, is it guaranteed that you're going to come home? My son was not guaranteed. He did not come home. He did not come home. And he had like 3 more years and he would have been out. His life was taken from him at the age of 26. I mean, and I'm supposed to sit back and not say nothing or do nothing. And that was my son. And my son was okay. He was in a good mood when I talked to him. And the next day he dead. And um, I also want to add one more thing. His autopsy doctor wanted to know why I kept calling the GBI, and I wanted so much information. And he made a statement, well, if you try to sue, well, it's going to take you some years before that can happen. I said, well, you can say what you want to say, but I'm going to find out what happened to my son. So he kept talking and talking and talking. At the end, I asked him, I said, Dr. Herbert, can I ask you something? He said, yes. I said, the trauma to my son's body, was it old or was it fresh? He said, Miss Bowie, did your son play football? I said, no, he didn't play no football. Not that I know of. Not in prison. I know he looked away. Miss Bowie, I don't know where the trauma came from, but the trauma was fresh. It either happened the day before his death or the day of his death, but I don't know where it come from. So when he said that,
Yes.
that was enough. That was enough. That was enough.
Yeah, as I said, I've read the autopsy report. It's quite clear that he was beaten, and for them to withhold this information from you is absolutely horrible. And let's face it, that's a mother's worst nightmare. I have a son who's incarcerated periodically, and it's just the worst thought possible that something might. We're nervous when our kids go into jail in the first place, and then to have the people that are assigned to their care and supposed to be rehabilitating and protecting them are actually the ones killing them and getting paid at the same time and able to cover it up. It's just wrong. And it's so hard to get something done about it because these are people that have broken the law. And society believes that, a lot of society just does not care about this problem. But the fact is that we have got almost half our population of this country incarcerated at this time. So there are enough people out there that do care and that this is happening too. So the name of the group is Murdered Inmates of Georgia, and Sirrena Buey and I are putting together a class action lawsuit against Georgia Department of Corrections. If you are interested, please get in touch with us. You can leave a comment at the bottom of this video, and either Sirrena or I will get back to you. And I want to thank you all for listening, and thank you, Sirrena, for coming on tonight. And thank you for having the courage to stand up and support and help other mothers that have been through the same thing.
Melissa.
Thank you so much for inviting me to the group. I mean, to the podcast, and I just pray that everyone, if you have information, if you know information, or if this have happened to you, you got to realize once you leave this earth, if you have kids, they gonna have kids, and they gonna have kids. If we don't stop this now, it's gonna continue to go on. So let's come together and get this class action lawsuit together, and let's get the bad correctional officer out the prison.
Amen. I just wanted to come in, Melissa, real quick, and I wanted to say to Sirrena, as a mother, I cannot understand what you're going through, but I am with you in this fight, and I've been incarcerated. I've seen them get away with a lot. I've seen them cover up a lot of autopsies. They did it to my best friend, and we're still fighting for that. But don't lose any hope. Keep fighting, and you have people that know the truth, and they know that you're telling the truth. The autopsy speaks for itself, and I'm sorry. I am so sorry that you have to go through this. And Melissa, thank you for supporting her and being with her. You're an amazing person, and I love you for that.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you all. I really do, really do. Appreciate everything
Well,
that you all
thank
have
you
done.
too. We're gonna get this done, and like I said, if you are interested in joining us, please leave a comment at the bottom of the page, and either Sirrena and I will get back to you. Let's hold Georgia Department of Corrections accountable. Let's do that. And Sirrena, we all much love to you, and you and I are working closely together now. But
Yes, yes,
everybody, let's just say a special prayer for all the mothers out there that have lost loved ones to violence by prison staff. And that is all for my show tonight. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good evening.